from the city is still. I'm from the city is still.
All right, guys, so you're about to get a firsthand, behind the scenes look at how we grade cards here at Transparent Grading Team. So as you can see here, I'm going to zoom in for a minute. This is TGT, bunch of zeros, 288. So this is the 288th card in our index. It is a Trevor Lawrence, and I'm going to show you in real time how I am going to grade this card. So there's a few things that we're going to want to do. The first thing we're going to want to do is look at the centering. So we see the back of the card here. Let me zoom in for you a little bit so you get a better view of this card with me. I'm going to try to give you a great little angle here. Now, of course, it's not going to be perfect being that I'm recording, but I want you to see in real time how this is done and how virtually we could have graders all over the world because of the technology that we use. So essentially what we're doing is when we put it into our program here, we're lining up for centering. So these lines right here measure it all the way around. So what we're looking for is like areas. So if we're going top to bottom of this card, you might want to say a good solid 3 dotted right here. You see 3 dotted, intersects right there and really close to the top of the panini there. And then if you look down towards the bottom, you got 3 dotted running right into the bottom of the NFLPA and the words. So what I would say is for a top bottom grade on this card, this would be 3-3, which equals 50-50. So we have 3-3, 50-50 top to bottom, but now we need to see what this measures left to right. So that's another thing that we want to see is we want to line up like areas. So if you're looking right here, you'd be at a 3 dotted. Over here, you'd be right in between a 3 dotted and a 4. 4 lines up right at it. So that right there would essentially be about a 3-4 left to right, which still leaves this in 9.5 centering. Boom, there's my grades. So now I'm gonna try to get the centering on the front of this card. So we go top to bottom again. We're gonna see right here, this is basically a 4 top. You'll see 4 running right there and right there. Go to the bottom, we got a 3. So this is a 4-3 top to bottom, which is 57-43, which is a 9-5. And then we'll go left to right as well. So that's right about at a 4, just a little bit past it. And on this side, we're at a little bit past 3. So that's basically 4-3. So all together, this is 9-5 on the front, and front always outweighs the back. So this is going to be 9-5 centering for this card. So it's consistent with both sides that it is a 4-3 both ways. So we'll go top, bottom, 4-3, which equals 57-43. And then we'll go left, right. That's also a 4-3. And that also equals 57-43, which altogether on the grade scale equals 9.5. So now we got it at this point. What I would do is switch over to another screen and add it to our grade sheet. So now that we know this is going to be a 9-5 overall centered card, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to this sheet. And like I said, this is card number 288. So we're going to enter that into its page for centering, 9.5. And there's 1/4 of the grade out of the way. And as you can see, we're going to look at this card really closely because we're looking at corners and edges now. One thing I like to do too for corners and edges, we'll zoom in here. See, so we have the ability to go as big and wild as we want, but we want to be fair with our grades here. We want to make sure that we're not just dinging you for anything. So like, look right here, that's like a little bit of hair. That's like a little fiber. That could be wiped off. We're not going to hit you for that. You know, there is a little bit of whitening here and a little bit of fraying here on this corner. You know, that might be something that we would accumulate into a ding, but again, like a lot of these cards that you're going to see in chromiums do have some really, really rough edges. These ones actually don't look as bad as some I've seen, but there definitely is some mild edge wear. This kind of stuff is all stuff that can be wiped off. So these aren't like something that would get major dinged with us. I mean, it is something that we have to highlight though. We have to let you know. If we're gonna be transparent, we have to let you know the full condition that we find in your card. See, so right here, you see some light fraying, and anytime you have a dark patch of color, there's always gonna be some whitening that you need to be careful with. A little bit of fraying here. So look, you see down at this corner is kind of warped looking. So that's definitely something that we would have to highlight. So we would add a comment there and then just say corner warping. Okay, let's go down and start looking at the rest of this card. So you can see that there's some really funky looking edges and little rounding here around that corner. So we definitely want to highlight that and just say, you know, there's some edge wear going on here and some rounding to the corner there. Okay, so we've highlighted that. So 2 of the corners are basically already assessed. We will go back around and do the edges afterward just to make sure everything is documented. I like to be very clear with my grading assessment. You see like this right here? This stuff could easily just come right off the side of that. But it's something that we have to mark, you know what I mean? Because that is something that's glaring. So we're sensitive to the fact that while there is some damage here and some wear, like these big pieces here, those are pieces that could be wiped off of the card, I'm pretty sure. But I mean, that's some pretty significant wear, like even into the card there, you know what I mean? So it's something that we're gonna have to document. To which we're just gonna say edge wear. So like I said, you can see little fraying bits. Now the difference between this fraying and the last fraying we looked at is, you see this is legitimately going into the card and damaging the edge, whereas this little bit of fraying right here, that's basically from the factory cut, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna mark that I see it, but that's not necessarily gonna be a ding, you know what I mean? So just say light fraying there, you know? Nothing major, little light fraying. So we see a little bit something right up there. Call that fraying. It's a little minor whitening there. I don't see that as being a super big issue. I mean, there's some edging right there, That should probably at least be highlighted. You know, sometimes when we do these boxes, they really only amount to a fraction of a ding. So if there's like several of them, that might add up to like a 0.5. But still, we want to let the client know that, hey, there is a little bit of edge wear right there on that card. What we see. So if we see it, we have to let you know we see it. Little bit there. I don't know if that really warrants a documentation. Teeny bit down at the bottom too, right here, but again, nothing major. That's just basically factory cutting. Nothing super important, but I'm just gonna say light edge wear. See, so we're at least going to document what we're seeing here. So that's the back of the card. We're going to go to the front because obviously to get the edges in the corners, there's two sides of those. So we want to document both. So again, on this one, we're really only looking at corners and edges. See, and we can kind of see, like we were looking at on the other side, some of that stuff that can literally just probably be wiped off. So we're at least going to mark that we see it. Edges, just edge wear. Boom. Take a look at these corners too. See, so this is the one that we saw, whatever the heck that little thing lipped up on there. So we're gonna mark that we see it here. I'll just say corner damage. Boom. Go over here and you can even kind of see some of the wear. We'll just say corner / edge wear. See, so there's tiny bits over here as well that, you know, is not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, but like I said, if we're going to be transparent, we have to document that we see the things that we see, you know? So again, that right there, it's probably not a deduction, but we're still going to let you know that there's some edge wear. You know, some of these little white spots, you know, right here, we're just going to say, hey, you know, there's a teeny bit of edge wear right there. It's nothing major. That's not going to dock your grade, but if you have enough of those, it might bring you down a 0.5, you know? So it's another reason we document it, because if we see that enough over the card, that might warrant you know, going from like a 10 edge or a 9.5 edge to a 9 or something like that, you know? A little edge wear right there. Don't know if I documented that yet. Boom. See? So basically what we're looking at here now, we're going to look at the corners. So essentially what we're seeing is we essentially have a problem with all four corners on here. Some of them don't really deem, like look, for example, this one just has a teeny bit of white on it, like barely any. So that one I'm not even going to hit. This one right here is just fraying up a little bit. So maybe both of those hit a 0.5, you know, for both, right? This right here, we're seeing some significant rounding right around here. So there's definitely some warping and stuff over here. So that's another 0.5. And then over here, we're seeing some, you know, pretty nice warping. So we're saying for corners on this one right here, we'll go 8.5. We're gonna go right over here. You can see you got the 9.5. Now it's got an 8.5 for corners. So we're gonna go back and we're gonna look at the edges now. And we're gonna just look at everything that I've highlighted right here. And as you can see, that is some significant little wear right there. So it's more than just wiping those pieces off, because it has actually scraped up onto that edge. You know, as where some of these ones, like you could just kind of rub them off and you're good. You got a little bit of pulling up there. It's not quite as bad on this side. This side's a lot more clean. So we are going to see some down in here too, and some decent edge wear right there as well. So what I would say personally for this card, this with the indications that I've seen, especially right here, here, and a little bit right there, I would probably say this is about a 9 as far as edges go. And that goes both sides, guys. I'm gonna enter the 9 for edges. And surface does often help us with like edges and stuff as well. Let me just kind of show you this. Like, look, you see how it like highlights everything? So this helps us for more than just looking at surface and stuff like that. Like it really helps us with identifying where the flaws are and stuff everywhere. Infrared really helps. See, so what we're looking for is any kind of print lines, marks, or anything in the card. And like I said, you can also use this to help you as far as identifying edge wear, corner damages, stuff like that. Because it really does highlight all of the flaws a lot more in this infrared. So the back of this looks reasonably clean for the most part, surface-wise. Let's look at the front. So there might be like a teeny bit of scratch there, either that or that's like a dust particle. We'll go look at that again on the front. Yeah, so this Lawrence front is looking very clean, guys. Like I said, it just might be the tiny little thing right there. But again, it could be dust, so that's why we're going to actually pull it up and look. Yeah, it's almost too fine to do a ding on. But again, the infrared, much easier to spot it. So that's something I'm not going to ding him on. So then he would get a 10 on the surface, which once we add all of our subgrades up, this card averages into being a 9. Boom. Trevor Lawrence is a 9 overall.